Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. I hope you're all doing splendidly and that you're all safe and sound. In today's video, I'm gonna take you back a couple months, back to when we could travel and see people. This is gonna be a quick breakdown of basically an e-com shoot, but what makes this one different is that we didn't do it here in the studio. The client makes housewares, dishes, plates, candlesticks, flatware, salad bowls, all sorts of stuff. It's like a group of several companies. And normally what happens is they ship product to my studio and we spend some time unboxing it and getting everything set, and then we do the shoot and then we pack it all back up and send it back out. And this time we had to do a lot. We had to do a lot of product. And so we came up with the idea that perhaps it would just be best to go to the source. So pack up the entire studio here, head up to the distribution warehouse, which is in Connecticut. So it's only like 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. Set up shop there and spend a couple days. So the amount of time and resources that it would take for their people to pull all the product, package the product, ship the product. Then it comes to Jersey, then I have to unbox it all. We have to spend time, just a lot of stuff, right? So maybe it was just easier to go to the source, set up shop there, and make a studio there. The other thing was we were just shooting on white. This is all like e-com stuff. So just real clean, simple. Don't need a lot of space, don't need a lot of equipment, so I was all for it. This is Justin, he works with me. It's his job to make sure that I don't forget anything or do anything really stupid. And you should go check out his work. I'll leave links below. So Justin and I packed up the entire studio, drove the 2.5 hours to Connecticut on a Monday, had a few hours reserved for us to get there, set up, get our bearings, take a look at all the product we had to shoot, and come up with a game plan. The bottom line was basically we had to do 150 different products in 2 days' time, which is kind of insanity, but at the same time, not, because of the way we shoot it. Everything's small, everything's tabletop. It all has to be shot on white. It's all getting knocked out in post. It's really just a clean representation of the product. So we set up this studio, ended up bringing a couple of V-flats with us. One acted as our tabletop, one for fill and whatnot. We shot the entire thing with a ProPhoto Acute 2400 pack with a D4 head into the extra large umbrella, which had a soft lighter on the front of it. And then we fired that through a 6-foot Matthews silk. So big, stupid, soft lighting. Basically, you can't mess this one up. Whatever we put on that table was pretty much going to look good. We would have to deal with reflections on certain items, but chances are we could just kind of move camera a little bit and leave all of the lighting where it was. They basically gave us an entire half of a warehouse and we only needed like 12 square feet to do what we did. But we had tables and tables of product. Because everything was lined up, it was all kind of labeled, and we had a very detailed shot list of everything we were supposed to do. So the first thing I did was just kind of walk through with the client. We just checked everything out, made sure that all the product was good, make sure we had everything that we wanted, go through the list and kind of find out what's out of stock so we can cross that stuff off. And then really kind of focus on what the shots needed to be. You know, there's this many overhead shots, there's this many 45 angle shots, there's this many 90-degree shots, and that way we can kind of place everything together so we know that, okay, we have to do, you know, these 30 shots need to be shot from overhead, so let's set the tripod and all that for overhead, and then we can just lay everything down on the table, and then we'll move the camera and shoot everything, because the last thing you want to do is moving the camera every single shot. Just a giant waste of time. Also for this shoot, when we get into things like sets of dishes, these dishes all have to be set the exact same way, and it makes life easier to do it all at the same time. So the first thing we did was kind of got through all these overhead shots. We rigged up the tripod so that we could get it over the table enough and not see anything and cords or legs dangling in frame. We're shooting the phase, kind of like always. Everything's being tethered into the computer, so we're pulling focus, we're focus stacking a lot of images, so nothing really new there. But the tough part is, with all of this, is that when you're doing product, you're doing a lot of product. There's a lot of little things that go into shooting product that you don't ever see, but without them, it makes life really difficult. So for instance, there's a lot of little pieces of foam core, and there's a lot of tape, and there's a lot of tacky whatever glue stuff, and to hold things in place and get all that. And so luckily we have this tool cart that kind of houses everything for us. So we were able to just load that onto the truck and bring that up. And that way we knew we had everything that we could possibly want for that shoot. And so a lot of the time in between setups is just getting everything so that it's in place and that it looks nice and that there isn't any weird reflections or anything like that. And then marking that so that you can just swap out the product and bring it. So when you're done with that plate, you pull that plate and put another one down. Everything's exactly where it was. The lighting's all the same. The shot looks the same. You click the trigger, awesome. And that way when you go to the client's website or you end up at Macy's, wherever the hell it is that you're shopping, and you look through and say, oh, cool. All those products look the same. It's just the pattern that's different. I get it. So there's not much room for original thought on this shoot. Everything's kind of like, this is how we want them lined up. This is how many we have to do, and away you go. Another big thing here is file naming. We're naming the files as we go. And so every single product that we shoot, the SKU number is in there and a description of the item is all in the file name. When I'm done with it and I hand these off to the clients, they need to be able to look at them in a folder and say, okay, you know, where is this number? Or they need to be able to search on the computer for this item by name or by SKU or by whatever. So we tend to make sure all that is loaded into the file name for them. What makes it possible for us to do the amount of product that we did in as little period of time is that we're knocking out the background. So all I really need to do is produce a clean shot of the product. If the background is a little off, or there's a gradient, or it's not pure white, or there's some scuffs from the last product, or whatever goes wrong. The fact of the matter is that when all is said and done, we're taking that plate or that spoon or whatever, and we are cutting it out from the background. We are replacing it with pure white. As long as the product looks good, we can move on. What makes it hard is that a lot of this, we are focus stacking. And so when we're shooting a series of plates or something like that, it might take us 10 images to get full focus from front to back. Luckily for us, phase one makes this very easy because we just go and we tell it, here's my front point of focus, here's my rear point of focus, and then the camera figures out how many images it needs based on the f-stop you're at and all that kind of stuff. And it just automatically takes that many pictures. Away we go. So seriously, once this thing is set, that was pretty much it. We didn't move a lot until the next type of setup. Client would come in every once in a while, we'd go through the images, just kind of show them what we're doing. They might ask for a secondary shot. They might ask for a new shot. Things went really, really fast. We were actually able to clear through over 140 products in 2 days' time, which is kind of insane considering we were only doing 8-hour days and we were taking breaks for lunch and all that kind of stuff. We were flying. The only shot that we had to do that was unlike any other shot was at the very end. They threw in one last one, which was actually specifically being used as a header for Wayfair.com. And they came in with a very specific ratio of how it had to be. And so we had to kind of move everything around. We had to drop everything to the floor. We had to get the tripod up as high as possible because we had to do like something like 6 or 8 plates across, super long and thin. So really it was just a matter of trying to figure out how to get the camera to fly overhead. Now normally when we're in the studio, we have a big camera stand, we can boom everything out and not worry about it, but when we're stuck with just a regular set of tripod legs and no boom arms or anything like that, this was one of those add-on shots. So had it been known ahead of time, I might have planned ahead and brought a few more stands or something like that, but we made do with what we had. We got the camera into a great position. We were able to just rip through the shots and it was just a matter of lining up all these plates. And in Capture One, we're able to like shoot and crop and have all the adjustments applied. And so we were able to kind of see what the final product was gonna look like. Shooting tethered and using Capture or whatever you're using enables you to really see what the final is going to look like. And not only that, but show your client. And so when it pops up on the screen and it's fully cropped and everything's aligned and ready to go, it's easier to feel better about it. So yeah, once that shot was done, we packed everything up, loaded it all back in the van, drove 2 hours back that night, and immediately got started on post-processing. And so really it came down to just some minor tweaks here and there, and then preparing the image stacks, which we do in Helicon Focus. So we export all the files out, we batch process in Helicon, and once those are all done, there's a service I use that cuts everything out of the background with clipping paths and returns it to me with fresh white background, fake shadow, and a clipping path. And the reason I'm doing this is because they're all layered in Photoshop, and so I can go in and turn them on and off independently of each other. So if the client doesn't want the shadow, they can just turn the shadow off. If the client wants a pink background, they can just change the background whenever they want. Makes life a hell of a lot easier, and it saves us a lot of time on set. Took about two to 3 days to get everything back from knockout, and then it was another few days of retouching on top of that before everything goes off for client review. And at that point, the client could still look at things and say, hey, can we get a little more saturation out of this? Can we get a little more contrast out of this? The pattern doesn't look right. Because in the end, we took all these pictures so that they could sell more product. And so the product has to be perfect. It has to look its most appealing. And so it's hard sometimes when you're here retouching in the studio and you don't have that plate next to you and you're trying to remember, man, how saturated was that pattern? Like, am I off a little bit? Or there was a little bit of back and forth in the end, just kind of making sure everything looks good. But really, I couldn't have asked for a smoother shoot though. This one went really, really well. And it sounds like we'll be going back to Connecticut to do these more. So although I hate moving my studio, sometimes it just makes sense. So that's it. If you have any questions about the process or the retouching or whatever, feel free to ask below. subscribe to the channel, maybe click the thumbs up, hit the bell, and I'll see you next time.